I liked this movie.
This movie was bad.
I did not like this movie.
Movie bad. Bad movie.
I loved this movie.
Fuck this movie.
I really did not like this movie.
Oh no, don't ruin the movie for me.
I loved this movie.
The movie was good. All right, I just want to warn you, spoiler alert.
Same can be said with like the drama. If there are some actors that are trying to be funny, and then there's some actors that are trying to be more serious. Like sometimes it just doesn't blend well.
Yeah.
Which is why I think King Kong, the 2005 version, for me, that's my favorite monster movie because it blends the characters and the action scenes so well. I mean, but I will say Godzilla vs. Kong vs. Godzilla, Adam Wingard, I was very happy that he did a big blockbuster and his style was all over. Like the neon lighting and everything, I was like, awesome. Glad you.
I'm glad he's an independent director who's successful in getting projects and taking advantage of them. I think like it's the jump. It can be very, very daunting as we've seen in the past, but
as you said, it gives us hope too. I mean,
yeah. No, that was the biggest thing. It gave me hope. But did you notice we're recording?
No, I did not.
Well, we are. Yeah, we've been recording for a little bit.
Oh wow.
that's not Nick again. First, this is spoiler alert. It's our moving picture podcast, where we talk about movies. Usually, it's me and my other co-host, but this week, like last, I have a good friend filling in for me. Because he's got a new movie coming out this week that he just worked on. And that friend's name is Chad. How you doing, Chad?
How are you doing, Eric? I'm
great. We've obviously been talking for a little bit, shooting the shit, kind of getting together, because I haven't seen him since I moved before Los Angeles. We just said 3 months ago, which is
greatly missed, insane. Man. Greatly missed.
Miss you too, bud. But I'll be home. I'm coming home soon. No, I don't know when soon is, but like I won't be here forever.
Yeah, I mean with COVID it makes things more difficult.
Yeah, but once it kind of opens back up, I'll come home and we'll hang out, have one of our movie nights and just catch up. Today's episode we are talking about one of my favorite movies, my personal favorite movie by the director Michael Mann. It's the 2004 neo-noir movie Collateral, which both me and Chad just picked up on Blu-ray or 4K Blu-ray.
4K,
yeah. 4K Blu-ray. I picked it up. Found it on eBay. It was like $15, luckily. So
steal, man.
I know. And then you picked it up, I think, when it released, right, or not too long after.
No, actually, thankfully, I got it for a Christmas gift.
You did. Okay. Yeah. But you've had it for a couple months, and we both watched it on 4K for the first time. So we're gonna talk about, I think, one of the better neo-noirs of the past 20 years. Definitely up there. We'll save that for when we get to that part of the episode. But you're doing good, Chad. Everything's going well. You feeling good about the release?
Like any film, I mean, as you can attest to with yourself being a filmmaker. I mean, there's always that nervousness of like how audiences are going to take to it, as well as like if your vision, like if other people will be able to pick up on things. But besides that, like. I'm not staying up till 2-3 a.m. editing now. I'm, now back on like a relatively normal sleep schedule. So
it's the little dip of in between projects where you're like
trying to get back to normal.
Yeah, I feel that.
But besides that, man, I can't complain. I'm doing well. Like
I'm glad.
I'm employed, and I mean, with so much going on in the world, I mean, that's a blessing in itself.
Exactly. We're actually going to be talking later on, talking about your movie. I got a couple, not really questions because I don't want to grill you, but I'll just talk to you, ask you a couple things about the movie, and let people know what they could be expecting. I saw it.
Yep.
I'll talk to you a little bit about that. Thank you for letting me watch it early. I know you're very Christopher Nolan.
Yes.
And
yes.
you don't like people to see your shit. So until the release. So I appreciate you letting me see it early. And yeah, I'm glad you're doing well. And I'm happy that you're here. I'm excited. This is your tryout. So we need to figure out if you're allowed back or not, or if we scrap this episode completely.
That's true, man. And I don't have the greatest resume with podcasts, so we'll see how I do. I'm no Kevin Smith though, that's for
sure. I'm not either. So I don't even want to get into. I'm not even close to that category.
Pretty soon, man. A couple months, you'll have him on here.
I hope that would be a dream. That's the dream. And then my career takes a completely left turn, and I just become a podcaster. It's not
You can make it work.
I
The key, Eric, is, especially since you're California, the key is you got to go vegan. That's the key.
I did have a vegan milkshake a couple of weeks ago. It was pretty
Pretty
fucking
good, right?
That was fucking the best milkshake I've ever had. That's the thing, dude. You come out here and visit, you're gonna fucking gain 300 pounds. Although weirdly, since moving here, I have been doing pretty well with my diet. So I've been losing some weight.
California, the sun, man.
I'm telling you.
I mean,
It's a very easy place to. I feel like even if you're feeling a little stressed, you can kind of figure out an area, even in your house, to just go. And like I can walk out back and sit outside for 20 minutes, and I'm just like, all right, I feel a little better. Like it's hard when it's fucking cold.
yeah, oh, dude, yeah. No, you and I both have that in common. We both are not a huge fan of the cold. So I mean,
think
I'll definitely be out there visiting California because I mean I've always wanted to go there. I mean,
I got spots to show you, movie spots. Fucking,
vegan milkshakes, I'm down.
And then that's it. They're like $11, but it's
holy cow.
Yeah, but yeah. So you might want to work double before you come out here. Before we get into some news and then Collateral, I know because you said you listen that we like to talk a little bit about between like me or Nick or obviously Louis, since they were literally the only guest on. Oh no, and Coleman. We can't forget Coleman with MVP. All right, so we've had we had 3 guests now. We like to ask what we watch, talk about that. I know you're like, I try to keep up with you, but you're a fucking movie watching machine. So with what we watched, you can do it any which way you want. You can do it. You can talk like a rough little bit. Like I watched a couple movies this week and just kind of list them. You can go in depth on one you really liked. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I think I'll go because, like you said, I do watch a lot. I think I'll go with the one I saw like to start off the month, just because I wanted to finally watch all Kevin Smith's movies so I can rank them on my YouTube channel. That was Yoga Hosers. I can
Jesus,
dude, I can see why Kevin Smith wants to hide it. I respect you, Kevin Smith. You're a great filmmaker.
He doesn't really. He hides it, but he doesn't hide it. He calls every single movie coming out. He goes, hopefully, it doesn't turn into the next Yoga Hosers.
Yeah.
I haven't even watched Yoga Hosers yet. I tried to watch like a clip, and I was like, this is. I don't know what the fuck is going on.
Yeah, it's like they probably filmed it like a Thanksgiving dinner. That's what it felt like. I mean, I respect them though. The fact that, I mean, as you and I both talk, I mean, the fact that you make a movie and are able to get it out there, it's a miracle in itself. But I didn't.
Every movie's a miracle.
Yeah, no, it is 100%. And then, obviously, I watched Collateral, which we'll talk about later. And then, I saw Last Temptation of Christ, which I think it's an amazing.
That's one that I've been meaning to watch for a while. It's one I really want to watch.
Highly underrated.
I've been trying to like interject a lot of old and new movies like in with what I watch. It's been hard with the podcast. Yeah. I have to gear stuff towards like that, and then there's occasional. Luckily, like my roommate and I were watching the Studio Ghibli movies, and she's going to be on at a point.
Oh, nice.
And we're gonna talk about them. So it'll be nice that like that's something that both I want to watch, and what will help like for the pod too. But it's great that like I feel like you have a good balance of that, because you're able to figure out like I got to watch this movie. This is for the channel, for your YouTube channel, right. Which we didn't mention also that you're a fucking YouTuber.
Oh yeah, I should have. Yeah, I'm a YouTube movie critic. Not one for paper or anything. Obviously, that's that'd be the dream. But
dude, you got a decent following. You got some good friends out of it. I think you made a couple guys you talked to.
Yeah, that is true.
Couple guys who followed me on Letterboxd who I like didn't know for about a month, and then apparently they like follow you.
Yeah, I remember telling you, I was like, this guy. Actually, one of them was the one we met at the theater. Remember that one time where he was like, oh yeah, Chet. He actually started subscribing to me because of your channel, like when you originally had the channel. So like it was just kind of I know, it was crazy.
Yeah, tell him to listen to my podcast.
I will. No, I definitely am. I mean, obviously this is going to be on my YouTube channel, so that way we can obviously.
No, yeah, we'll talk about that right at the end. It's going to be a little bit of a unique release this week.
Yeah, the last thing, I mean, because if I have like 10 movies I saw obviously this month, but I'll end it with. I saw the Lord of the Rings trilogy in 4K,
which is I was very skeptical on whether I love my set I have, but like I feel like I've grown more okay with the fact of like even if I have a copy in Blu-ray, sometimes that's worth getting the 4K also. Like I think I kind of want to do that with Indiana Jones.
Oh,
Too.
dude. I own that on
Yeah.
Blu-ray, but I'm definitely gonna be
And
buying
I
that.
don't think I'm gonna get rid of like the Blu-ray because I don't know if they come. Does the 4K Lord of the Rings come with the Blu-rays too?
No. So it's
So it makes sense to keep my
yeah,
Blu-rays too. Okay.
right.
And it's
In
also
my
just a
case,
collectible set,
I got rid of my Lord of the Rings set, but that's because I only own the theatrical ones. I
which
wasn't like you.
aren't great on Blu-ray, I've heard.
Yeah, it wasn't the best, which is why it was
Yeah.
an easy
Yeah.
decision to like pick it up on 4K. Which, dude, I'm telling you, it looks amazing in 4K. It's one of the best releases I've seen personally in 4K.
I think I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna try to wait towards my birthday, I think, to get a little crazy because I haven't really been. I've been with moving. I've been trying to save up a little bit more.
Understandable.
So, I mean, I purchased like Collateral. I got because I had like a Visa Apple gift card that was like in my old phone I got because I got the iPhone the 12 or that whatever the 12 SE something P, but and then I had like the old, and I had to get rid of it because it expired. So I was just buying shit off. I tried to buy the Batman v Superman 4K that just came out, and I ran out of funds. So I got to buy that with cash. But I'm gonna wait till my birthday, and I want to see if I can get a good deal on eBay because that's been like my go-to recently. And I feel like if you're like lucky, like I will never buy a Disney movie off anything but eBay because you can get like a Disney Blu-ray for like $10. Like it's not.
That dude, that's where I bought Infinity War and not Endgame, Infinity War and Black Panther. I got it for $15 on 4K.
I have to get Ant-Man and the Wasp just as a like for my completion.
Right.
And I think you can get like a 4K of it for $12. So like it's like and it's like not even like I'm like at that point I'll just get the 4K.
May as well. No, you may as well. I mean,
and
dude,
then
honestly.
I did eBay with filling out some of my collection for MCU too, where I got I think Ant-Man 1 for like $11. And that's always like 25, which is
on
ridiculous.
Amazon, yeah.
Yeah, so I personally have been very eBay based recently. So I want to see if I can get Lord of the Rings for 4K for that for us. Because my roommate wants to watch Lord of the Rings who's never seen them. And I think
really?
I think the first time would be great in 4K. So that's why I'm kind of like thinking about waiting.
Yeah, Nicolette, my fiance, she was saying she's like it's crazy. It looks like it just came out like last year, and I was like, yeah. I mean, it's going on 20 years old, but like
I'm trying to think of like any other 4K sets I got. Like the Matrix, the Dark Knight. I mean, 4K. To me, I'm starting to see a little bit like how like upgrading from DVD to Blu-ray. Mm-hmm. Remember how I was very adamant on Blu-ray to DVD?
Yep.
Well, now
you're the one that got me into that. Yeah.
Now I'm weirdly 4K to Blu-ray, but like there's some movies that I don't think need an upgrade in 4K, but like the ones that I'm kind of skeptical on because the Blu-rays are great, I'm still like I'm gonna get it in 4K because I feel like 4K still somehow improves even the best Blu-rays. That's the crazy.
Yeah, like I mean, the ones that are shot on film, I say always go 4K, but the ones shot digitally, sometimes it's just not worth it.
Exactly. That's usually the ones that I kind of have leaned like the Matrix and 4K are really great because they're all shot in film.
Yep.
I think the Dark Knight, obviously those ones are worth it. And also like the Dark Knight Blu-rays and even Casino Royale, Skyfall, those are weirdly in digital is one of the digital ones that makes it it worth the upgrade still. Like
I agree. I do agree with Skyfall. Ironically, I think it's because it wasn't really up converted. I think it was shot pretty close to 4K. I know some of it's like shot 2K and then it's upscaled.
Yep, I think Deacon shoots 4K a lot.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, Lord of the Rings gonna get it in 4K. I think pretty soon. I want to see if I can score a good deal because it's worth the price it is now, but it's like I buy that I can't eat for a week. So
yeah. You can buy with what you would buy with Lord of the Rings. You can buy 9 vegan milkshakes.
That's true. I'm gonna highlight one movie because I like to go straight in on just one and kind of recommend it to people. And I want to recommend this to you too because I know you would really like it. I watched The Dark and the Wicked last night. It's a Shudder exclusive. It's directed by Brian Bertino, who who did The Strangers. He did The Monster. He did a couple. He's done a couple movies. There's a reason I watched it, which I'll tell you after the pod.
Okay.
It's like a personal reason why I watched it. I really liked it. It reminded me a lot of Hereditary in a way.
Really?
And the reason I say that is because it's really, really slow. But like not in a bad way. It's just a very slow burn. It takes like it's an hour and 35, I think. It takes like an hour. And a lot of shit happens in that hour, but it's very slow, very character based. And the last half hour is insane. Like and it's gross, and it's got one of the darkest endings I've ever seen in a movie. Like it's I think you would really like it. I think
I just added it to my watch
I can actually I'll get you a way to watch that.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely interested.
I'll get you. Yeah.
You know how much I love horror, and I mean, like if it's like kind of like Hereditary, I mean, I love Hereditary.
Yeah, it's very grief based, very very based around like a family. It takes place kind of in like the South, I think. It's the South or the Midwest. South or Midwest. I can't really remember. I have to look that up. But yeah, it was really good. Didn't really recognize any of the actors, and they were very authentic performances. The guy who plays the husband and of the family and the brother of the main woman in the movie, great performance. Awesome performance. Like it was like he was so good.
Yeah, it looks like Michael Abbott Jr. is in it. He was in like Mud, Hearts Beat Loud.
Yep.
And Loving. Yeah, I've seen him. I've seen him in, I mean, all of his three movies I mentioned. Yeah, he's a good actor.
He's really good in this. It's 100% watch. Very slow, atmospheric, but I think it does a really good job of setting up a good payoff at the end. I think like it's one of those movies that you're gonna stick with, and it's a movie that I actually want to watch a second time because I really liked it when I finished. And the more I've thought about it, the more I've been thinking like, wow, that was actually a really good movie.
Like The Empty Man.
I think you should watch it. I think you would really like it.
I will. Which, by the way, I wanted to say this. I'm glad that I knew about The Empty Man before you, but I'm glad that you brought it back to my attention because I forgot about it. And I'm glad that you brought it to my attention because then I watched it and I was like, yeah, that was really good. I'm actually still thinking about it, and I do want to give it a second watch.
This is that type of movie. I think this one is a better chance of being more. You like The Empty Man, but it's one of those movies. I feel like the more you watch it, the more your score will probably build. The more you'll appreciate it because it's one of those. Whereas this, I think, could be like that, but it's more likely that you'll enjoy this a lot right off the get go, and you'll want to. But it'll still be one you'll want to revisit because I think it's just a well done movie.
Awesome. Yeah, it's added in my watch list. I'll definitely be watching.
And I can get you a way to watch it because I think it's only on Shudder. So
thanks, man. I appreciate it.
We won't tell anyone how. I know someone. Dark and the Wicked. Watch that. You got Lord of the Rings, Last Temptation of the Christ, which I still need to see. And what was the other one you said that you watched?
Oh yeah, Yoga Hosers.
Yoga Hosers.
Highly recommended.
Yeah.
Best movie of the year.
All good choices. Chad watches way more movies than me, was the moral of the story, even though like I feel like I watch a lot of movies, and Chad, you're a movie machine.
Yeah, man. I know.
I've been very TV recently. Like I've been doing a lot of TV. So I think that's what I'm going through, one of those spikes of like being really into TV shows, and then I'll go into like movies.
Same way, man. I'm the same way. Lately it took me a while to kind of like finish. Like right before this podcast, I finally caught up with Falcon and Winter Soldier. I watched which, for a while I thought that show was just okay, but that last scene.
No, man. Actually, we can talk about that for like a minute, real quick.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure if you saw it.
Since you watch it, I've actually felt pretty similar. I've enjoyed a pretty good amount of the Falcon Winter Soldier, but I've just kind of like after WandaVision's journey, I think this was more streamlined of like a show. Yeah, whereas like it was taking its time with the characters, and then all of a sudden with episode, I feel like it really nailed what it wants to be about, and also opened up a lot of really cool possibilities.
And there's something I wasn't sure if you picked up on. I mean, I know your cast. Yeah, obviously this is called spoiler talk, so I don't feel bad saying this. I really liked how Wyatt Russell, his character, I forget his name, but I really liked how like when he took the serum, it was like a juxtaposition almost of when Steve Rogers took it. You know what I'm saying? Except he obviously went about it differently. And I thought that was really fascinating. And they built on it too. And I felt like that ending scene reminded me a lot of The Boys, which I was
Mhm.
very surprised about. I was like,
Yeah. No,
wow.
when they showed his shield covered in blood, I
Yeah,
was like, oh shit. Because Marvel usually like they like the Captain America movies have gotten violent, and there's been some stuff in there that's been a little bit grisly, but I feel like that was the first one where I was like, oh wow,
yeah,
like that's
yeah,
dark. Like
yeah. I was
um
not expecting that.
yeah. Well, no, because I saw him doing it. I was like, there's no way this is gonna
I
happen.
thought like someone was gonna stop him. It's just I'm just
Yeah.
like, wow.
Or he was gonna do that classic thing where he hits the shield next to him, which I thought he
Yeah,
did. I thought,
yeah,
and then he started to do it more. I was like, oh shit.
yeah. Right.
No, yeah. Episode 4, I think, is the show's really. I think it's found its groove now. Apparently, episode
Uphill.
5's like 63 minutes or something. so,
Oh wow.
so I think there's gonna end. I have a theory to tell you about the Power Broker, who a lot of people are trying to figure out who it is in the MCU.
Right.
My theory, and I think the one that makes the most sense, is the Mandarin, because Shang-Chi has the Mandarin villain in it,
Oh, I didn't think
and
about
he
that.
would be the one he would be the one brokering powers. And apparently a lot of people say the Flag Smashers have a hand on their mask. The Hand, who is his organization.
Right.
Like it feels like it's gearing up for that, because I've heard theories of like, oh, it's probably Zemo, who I gotta say, I really enjoy Daniel Bruhl as Zemo in this, because I think I've actually found him really fun. Like
Oh
I
yeah, I mean, you and I have been a fan of his since like
yeah,
Rush. So I'm just glad that he's finally getting attention, like getting the spotlight. Same with Wyatt Russell. I mean, let's be honest. Like, I personally do not like the fact that a lot of people are just hating on him, like he had to take down his Twitter because, like, Wyatt Russell's a great actor. Like, he's playing a character.
it's toxic Marvel fandom, like, or
Yeah,
it's toxic media fandom, because this happens all the time and
yeah, it does.
it's that weird thing that happens where like fans get so in love with a character like Steve Rogers that they're almost like, when someone like Wyatt Russell, who clearly is not going to be Captain America,
No, he's
they're
not.
clearly setting up for Sam to take over, because Sam's whole speech to Carly, the leader of the Flag Smashers, a
Right.
lot of people pointed out that's very similar to how Steve Rogers always avoided fighting and always
Yeah,
took like he wanted to talk them down from the ledge, whereas Wyatt Russell burst in and was quickly like brute force instead of trying to avoid conflict. So I
he's
found
the
that
opposite of what I forget
Steve
Stanley
Rod-
Tucci's character in First Avenger. I forget his name off the top of my head, but
bullies get
he's the
bigger,
opposite. Yeah,
good
he's like
people
the
get
bully. Yeah.
good people get their hearts get bigger.
Yep.
So it's but I'm glad you're enjoying it too, and you feel the same I do, because I feel like episode 4 was like, and it had some awesome fight sequences. I
Mhm.
thought the fight sequences in the whole show have been pretty solid, but I feel like this and last week, I think last week was like that. I started to feel a little bit of momentum where I was like, okay, the show seems to be going somewhere. And then this week feels like it was finally like, okay, let's go. Like,
I felt very passive, to be honest, the past 3 episodes. Like passive by like I would just watch it, but I wouldn't feel anything. This was the first episode where I just genuinely personally just like felt something. I was like, oh
I think it started out good too, with that scene between Bucky and the Wakandans.
yes.
That
Yes,
was
I really liked
Sebastian
that.
Stan's acting in that scene was great. Like I was like, this episode feels like it's gonna be different. When I was the first thing I said, I was like, this feels like it's gonna be the episode we've kind of been waiting for, where like the
Yeah.
show, which makes me think like, does that mean the show probably could be like 4 episodes and it would have been better? Yeah, probably. It probably could have had
Probably,
some
yeah.
stuff, but I feel like obviously they're doing 6 weeks because they want to make it feel justified why they would put it on a certain like. But I think from this point out, it seems like the show's going to be flying forward. So I'm excited.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like WandaVision. WandaVision was all about like that build up, and I feel like this will also be kind of like that too. So
Yeah.
I mean,
it seems that's kind of I like to think it's that these are just Marvel movies where the first act just is dragged out a little longer to give more character development. That's pretty
yeah,
much all it is. These are just Marvel movies that extend on more shit at the beginning because they want to make it 6 episodes, so they kind of go more in depth on stuff like I like what they're doing with the whole Sam and his sister, and like kind of hinting at the whole like race as an Avenger. It doesn't matter, and like, but it feels like it's just going to be thrown to the wayside eventually because like
probably.
we don't care. Like most people don't like. They just want to see Falcon Winter Soldier take on bad Captain America.
Or his sister, I feel like will kind of be like in trouble. I hope they don't do the whole damsel in
No,
distress thing.
I don't think they're
kind
going
of,
to. I
I
feel like
hope
that.
not. I hope
I
not.
think she's just gonna be wasted as a character, honestly, which like sucks, but it's better than the damsel in distress thing.
Yeah, I hope they don't do
Yeah.
that. So I mean, I hope it's your way, honestly, not that way.
So yeah, I'm very excited to see how the show wraps up, and I'm more excited, honestly. I think Loki's going to be the one that really sucks me in. I think that's going to be like that. That concept seems so cool.
As you know, just with the pandemic and everything, I just have not really been watching trailers. I still haven't seen the Loki trailer. So just like with Falcon Winter Soldier and WandaVision, haven't seen any trailers. So I'm just going with like I have no idea what to expect. I don't know.
Based on your interests and also how I think you would take the trailer if you did see it, I think Loki's more your speed. I think what they're doing seems way cooler than a lot like WandaVision. It seems closer to WandaVision where it's a concept more like taken advantage of than it is and just using Loki because like everyone loves Loki. So they're just like, let's just throw Loki in these wacky adventures. So it's just, which I'm fine with. I'm more excited. That's the one I'm looking forward to the most, honestly.
Tom Hiddleston can do no wrong, honestly.
Exactly.
So, I mean, I'm down to watch it.
Yeah, that's it. We good to move on?
Yep. Yeah.
All right. So we talked a little bit more about what we watched than I figured we would. So I'm gonna condense our film news section. I still want to talk a little bit, but I'm just gonna run quickly through what's happened this past week or so with news. First things first, Paramount delayed a bunch of movies, which is crazy, but also I guess makes a lot of sense. They delayed Top Gun Maverick to November 19th. It was supposed to come out in July, which makes sense. And I think it's going to come out. I think any movie that comes out from like October on is going to come out. I think the next 3 or so months are still up in the air with how theaters are going to perform and whether studios are willing to throw them out. But I think like anything latter half of the year, I think that's when we're going to be kind of like back to a somewhat normality in terms of going to the theaters. I don't know if it's going to be 100. It'll probably be 100% by then.
It just really depends on how we handle everything. I mean, I personally can't wait to get the vaccine.
I got my appointment on Monday, so I'm very excited.
Oh, dude, you're lucky.
May 1st is my second appointment, and I'm gonna go to the movies in May. Like I can't wait. I'm holding off until then, and I'm gonna go a whole day.
Hopefully, Converse Godzilla will still be in theaters because
I want to go see that in IMAX so bad. I don't think it's gonna be, but I'll still go see it in theaters. You got Mission Impossible 7 was moved to May 27th, 2022, because it was originally supposed to come out November 19th. I think that's because of filming. I think they had to something because it's filming during the pandemic, so it was taking a little bit longer.
Right.
And then those are the real big ones. You got a Dungeons and Dragon movie, with Chris Pine, which I'm actually kind of interested in. It's the guys who did Game Night who are directing it, so I feel like it could actually.
Yeah, dude.
I think it could work if they kind of like do a Lego movie style or 21 Jump Street style movie. I think that would be something that could be fun. That comes out.
That could be good.
March 3rd, 2023. Now it was supposed to come out in May 2022. There's a Star Trek film coming out. It was pushed back to June 9th, 2023. Yeah, I mean, there's been a couple other ones, nothing too crazy. Snake Eyes, the G.I. Joe movie coming out this year, was moved up to July 23rd, 2021. And the other movie that I actually care about is Jackass 4. It's October 22nd, 2021 is when it comes out.
Still have to watch those movies.
It's funny if we were talking about eBay, I bought the entire collection on DVD because that's all they sell the first 2 movies in.
Oh, wow.
I bought it for $20. It comes with all the movies and the TV show. So it's just,
wow, that's awesome.
So the show's only on DVD. So like, and it's only in standard because it was shot on like digital cameras. So, but they're, I think if you liked just
like Bad Trip,
something like that, like it's kind of similar to that. But yeah, so a couple movies got delayed this week. Indiana Jones 5, Phoebe Waller-Bridge joined Harrison Ford, and John Williams is doing the score. I mean, figured John Williams was doing the score again, but he's up there, man. Like he's
seriously.
I don't know how
he's glad that he's able to still do it, man. I mean, like it's awesome.
I personally don't hate Indiana Jones 4.
Let me be on the record and say this. I need to rewatch it because it's been like 7-8 years, but when I watched it several times, I might add as a teenager, I remember enjoying it.
It's fun.
But-
I've watched it recently. I still
Good.
find it entertaining. It's a severe dip from 3 to 4
Oh yeah, I mean,
because The
3
Last
was-
Crusade is
3
awesome.
was good. Yeah, 3 was
Um,
really good.
But I think it still captures the spirit of Indiana Jones 4 or of the whole franchise. I think it's still like it feels like it belongs. I don't know why people are so like this doesn't feel like an Indiana Jones movie. I'm like, it does. It's not
Because it's not realistic to have aliens yet. In the last 3 movies, there was also like entities like with later Raiders of the Lost Ark. You had an Ark of Covenant melting people's faces. But then you can't have aliens.
Dude, in the third one, there was like some old dude who was like 400 years old, and he was all about the Holy Grail. Like, I don't want to talk about the movie not being realistic. It's Indiana Jones. It's not Flight 93.
Yeah, man. I mean, I did want to, because I know obviously we have to move on, but I do have to say, like, I was kind of nervous about Steven Spielberg not coming back for the 5th one.
No, but I know what you're going to say. That's to me. That's why I think, honestly, even if Spielberg was coming back, I wouldn't feel as confident. I think having a director like Mangold come in and inject some fresh blood, but also I know he's going to stay true to the tone of Indiana Jones. I feel like that's the best way you could continue this franchise if you wanted to.
I do think that too. I agree.
And honestly, I think you retire Indiana Jones in this one, which I think they're going to do. And then if you want to reboot him, I guess reboot him. But I think you end him here. Like, I think you got to end Harrison Ford in this one.
I agree. I mean, he's almost 80. So
I'm imagining that's where they're going. I got to imagine this is like Indiana Jones' one last ride from fucking Fast and Furious.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, man, I mean, maybe this one will take place in outer space. You never know. I mean, I don't know.
Some more news. You got that's the link. you got Netflix making a deal for the rights to Sony Pictures movies, which include all the Spider-Man movies. That means that essentially every movie that Sony produces and comes out, like Tom Holland's Uncharted movie, Venom. I actually don't think Venom 2 was included. I think that was the weird one that like something with rights or deals or something. But like Morbius, those are going to go straight to Netflix after they play in theaters. So it's essentially just like Netflix is their home for Sony, which answers the question that I've kind of been thinking with is Sony going to make their own streaming service like everyone else? And I think Erich's theory is that Sony's going to be bought by Netflix eventually.
I could see that. I could totally see that.
So I think there's going to be a lot of consolidation in the next couple of years with everything. I think there's going to be a lot of like Disney deals where Disney buys or studios buy another studio that's maybe a little. I think Paramount's going to get bought by someone because Paramount's been struggling a lot.
Yeah, they haven't. I feel like they haven't had as many hits lately.
That's the and I think that I could see, honestly, I could see like Netflix or Hulu or someone investing. I don't think Hulu because it's a Disney-owned property, but I could see like Netflix or Amazon buying Paramount. And I think Amazon, honestly, because a lot of the movies at Amazon, like Coming to America, the new Tom Clancy movie directed by the guy who did Sicario 2 and written by Taylor Sheridan, by the way, Without Remorse.
That's so good.
I can't wait to that trailer came out this week and that movie looks awesome.
It was that was another trailer. I didn't watch the trailer. I saw Ty Sheridan and I was like, oh no, Taylor Sheridan.
Yeah.
Sorry, wrong actor. I mean, wrong person. I saw Taylor Sheridan. I was like, I don't even have to watch the trailer. I know I'm going to watch.
It looks good. It looks like a fun movie. Like it looks like a classic, like action movie with Michael B. Jordan as the star, which is like, that sounds like a really good time.
Oh yeah. He's an amazing writer. I mean, Wind River's a great movie.
Exactly.
Hell or High Water, as you said in one of the episodes of the podcast. I mean, Hell or High Water is very underrated. I do want to revisit. It's been. I
think that's a movie you'll appreciate even more than you did when you saw it the first time. So yeah, Netflix is buying Sony movies, and then the other two are kind of HBO Max themed. The first one we have is Dune's release on HBO Max is reportedly being reconsidered. I kind of saw this coming. I feel like what's going to happen is now that Godzilla versus Kong made a lot of money, even being on HBO Max, I feel like it can go two ways, honestly, but I don't think it's going to be taken off of HBO Max. I don't think they're going to go back on it. I think they're going to convince somehow to keep it on there, but I think it's going to help that movie coming out in like September or November, whenever it's supposed to come out. I think that comes out next year, right?
It comes out this year. Yeah, this year.
Yeah. I think it's gonna make a lot of money because I think the people who wanted to go see Godzilla versus Kong in theaters for the most part are going to see it. I think, but I don't know. Dune's weird because I think there is a possibility that they take that off, even though that it's been marketed like fuck.
Yeah, it's the thing is to be honest. I mean, obviously, you and I both know throughout the entire duration of our friendship, you're a lot better at box office figures, being able to say, yeah, that's going to take off. Like I remember Guardians of the Galaxy when it came off. Before it was about to come out, you were like, that's going to be a huge hit. And I was like, probably not. But it ended up being obviously a huge hit. I feel like with Dune, for some reason, I just feel like it won't be a huge hit. I feel like it might make.
No, that's exactly how I feel. See, Blade Runner 2049 to me.
Yep.
Top 3 best blockbuster of the past decade. Honestly, top 10 last 20 years. Like one of the best blockbusters ever. Made like nowhere near the amount of money it should have, nor could have. Because people just didn't want to go see a 165-minute think piece artsy sci-fi movie. Whereas Dune is that. Dune's not Star Wars. It's going to be it's going to be a lot more intellectual, it's going to be a lot more, people are going to have to really have to pay attention to it. Whereas
that's the other thing. I mean, not to cut you off, but my fiance, she read the book and she literally said that it is like Game of Thrones, but like sci-fi. And I mean, don't get me wrong, obviously in the back of my mind, I'm like, well, Game of Thrones became big, but at the same time, it's like I feel like science fiction films, you have to have all the elements to be like a big blockbuster, and I just don't know if Dune's going to have that. I hope it does because I don't think
Dune has as big of a fan base as they're giving it. Like it can obviously get fans, but I think it's too weird. Like I think it's too out there. It's not like obviously Avatar was able to get. Actually, Avatar's the only movie where like I really enjoy it, but it's crazy that that's the fucking highest grossing movie of all time. Like,
it is. It is.
But like even that's got fans. But that took a while to make money, and I feel like the people who are going to go see Dune in theaters are going to go see it.
Well, and also, I mean, like I said, and I want to get this out there, I 100% hope Dune is a huge hit because I do want to see.
No, I do too.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking logistically, the people who want to watch it at home, watching it on HBO Max the same weekend is going to give it more of an audience, and I think in turn will help it get a second part because I think it's gonna. Yeah. I think they're gonna see like, oh wow, we got a hit on our hands or something, or oh wow, we can do this. It's like I think I saw the Snyder Cut is the other end of the spectrum where because it was on streaming, a lot of people watched it the first weekend, and they were even saying like even though not everyone completely finished it, there was a lot of like watching going on, and they think like that says a lot about if there's a new sexy movie coming out that weekend, people are gonna watch it. So it's like it sucks because I still, above all the things that have kind of changed in my thinking, believe in movie theaters. They're a palace. They should be always. They're always going to be around, but this was the closest that I think I was getting to a point where I was scared that there was going to be a big shift. I think Godzilla versus Kong begs to differ though, because even that being on streaming, it's still making a lot of money. So I think we're okay. I just don't think Dune as an intellectual property has enough of a.
Well, and not just that. I mean, obviously, you and I are big film buffs and huge fans of Denis Villeneuve, but also just look at his track record. He hasn't really made like a huge hit, and that's not to say that he doesn't have one in him. But I'm just saying, like, I just don't see him. I don't see it having a huge audience. I see all the movie buffs and obviously fans of his
He's
work
the reverse Chris Nolan.
Yeah,
he's what happens. He's honestly what Chris Nolan would be if he was first starting out now. I don't think Chris Nolan would have as many hits. I don't think Chris Nolan would be like a name. I think like Denny gets love and like you look forward to one of his movies. I think if Denny was coming in like 2002 with Insomnia or so, like a movie like that, I think he would be Chris Nolan through the mid 2000s. Like,
yeah, I mean, everyone, I remember, I think it actually was Nick. I remember you telling me about how like Nick the one time like heard like someone say, "Oh yeah, get that director that from Prisoners." Like when they were talking about directors that they wanted for a movie, could be out of context. But Christopher Nolan, meanwhile, Christopher Nolan, it's like people aren't like, "Oh, get that guy that directed The Dark Knight." They're like, "No, get Christopher Nolan." So like I feel like Denis Villeneuve hasn't really hit that stride where it's like, get Denis Villeneuve. It's just kind of no, get the guy that did Prisoners.
Tenet was the first one that like he didn't really do 100% well, but also it had things going against it. Whereas like every movie
Pandemic.
Christopher Nolan's made since probably The Prestige has been a hit. So I think Denny, I don't think Denny's, unless if Denny picked to do the next James Bond movie,
That'd be amazing.
then he would be Christopher Nolan.
He would have been, yeah.
Because then he would have been the guy. Like that would have been like, because I think he would have kicked ass on a Bond movie. Like I think like if his Bond movie was just like Sicario, like that'd
be amazing.
With the scale of Blade Runner 2049, that sounds like the best movie ever made. Like,
hopefully we get No Time to Die sometime soon.
I think that'll be out in November. That's the movie I was thinking of when I said I think those movies getting delayed a lot. That's going to come out in theaters in November. There's no way by November we're not able to see that. Yeah, so Chad and I pro Dune in theaters, but we also think that Dune's probably it going to HBO Max wouldn't hurt it.
Yeah, I think that that's a movie that obviously people like us will see in theaters, but I do think that's a movie
by that point I'll have a vaccine in me and I'll go see it in theaters before I watch it.
Hopefully I will too, once I'm eligible.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree with you about the streaming. I think that more people will probably find it, maybe get a cult following like Blade Runner 2049. So
all right, yeah. So last article is, and we're gonna go through this quickly so we can get to Collateral.
Yeah,
we're still doing good on time, so don't worry about that at all. Batman v Superman screenwriter has had a lot to say this week. I mean, he said what Warner Brothers did to Justice League was vandalism, was his quote, which I agree with. You have him another quote he said was Batman v Superman Chris Terrio, writer, did he hate Justice League's? I think he hated WB's original the original ending on Batman v Superman.
Oh, right.
So what happened was in the original cut, or the ultimate cut, the original ultimate cut, Batman shows up at Lex Luthor's jail cell and Lex Luthor tells him about like Steppenwolf and Darkseid and they're coming and yada yada yada, and Batman then uses his brand, which he's been using in the movie. He punches the wall, which is like a visual representation that Batman has changed. And now he's starting to go through a little bit of a redemption arc. In this version, the WB had Batman branding people and he wanted Batman to brand Lex, which would have basically made the movie, we just watched over the last 3 hours or 2.5, if you did go see that in theaters, it would have basically said, okay, Batman has not changed at all. The entire movie. Superman dying has made him worse.
Which also, when you think about it, with Zack Snyder's Justice League, it wouldn't make sense, like really at all, if you think about it, because it's like
Batman's whole redemption arc in that movie is part of the heart of that movie, is that he's like Superman dying gave him faith again, which was like, oh no, good people can do the right thing. Like there are good people in this world. Right. So that was the whole thing. And that's why I love that movie. Like, that's why I was like, his story is great. Like, it's
I really like Batman v Superman too, the ultimate cut. I mean, I think that
the way
Man of Steel, very underrated, honestly.
The way Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and Justice League work together as well as they do, with all the teetering and tottering and universe sidelining and shit that's going on. Like, it says a lot about what it means when you give a director like Zack Snyder or someone the option to tell his whole story. Like, that's why those movies all fit. They fit perfectly. Like, when I watched when I was just gonna say, when I watched Joss Whedon's Justice League, it always felt like I was like, damn, Batman v Superman was setting up for something cool. I feel like I'm missing it, but now I have it. Now I can watch a whole trilogy, and as much as I don't really like as the ending of Justice League, the more I think about it, where I feel like they should have, which Zack Snyder did it because he knew he's a smart guy. He did it because he knows it's going to drive people to be like, no, keep the Snyder. Make the Snyder. Yeah. So I get why he did it. I'm glad he did. I just think from the movie standpoint, it takes away a lot from like that last final shot of him opening his shirt. I was like, that is a great shot. Like, so
but I was going to say, I think what I especially like about Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, and Justice League is that it's great to see that even as divisive as those movies are, I mean, it's Snyder in a nutshell, though. It's great to see a director have like a style and you be able to see it because I feel like we see so many times directors don't really have a style and it just feels almost
No, there's like
manufactured.
3 or 4 Marvel movies where you can say like there's a style here.
Right, and it's just like
even the ones I really like still sometimes don't feel like they have a style. The only ones are like Black Panther.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, the Russo movies I think all have a similar style, and then Taika Waititi's Ragnarok, and I think and maybe Kenneth Branagh because it's a fucking Dutch angle fest.
Yeah, it's like
but I actually watched Thor 2 the other day, and I've grown to not like that movie every single time more and more.
Man, I saw that. I was like, man, I don't regret not rewatching it. I haven't seen it since theaters, man.
There's 3 things that happen in that movie that you can say matter, and even like 2 of them don't actually matter. So it's and Endgame essentially made Thor 2 a good movie in 5 minutes.
Right.
Like it just like that's all it like that's essentially I agree. I think Snyder, and I love Snyder. I'm can't wait for Army of the Dead. The posters that have been coming out have been so cool. There was another one he released yesterday that was just like it was just a robotic hand holding a card that says always play dead, like for like poker. And I was just like, this movie's gonna be so fun. Like it's gonna be
He's on a roll. I mean, obviously with him actually getting to see his vision out there.
Mm-hmm.
And now obviously Army of the Dead, it's great.
I think Netflix lets people usually have their creative vision fulfilled. So we're gonna get full Snyder. That's what
100%.
And I think when you I think
if Marcus Scorsese's gonna make a $200 million movie about like The Irishman, then I mean obviously
I think Snyder to be the best he can be, he gotta let him just go completely Snyder. You can't put any restraints on him. Every time they've put restraints on his movies, they're always 30 minutes less and really bad.
And you have to wait until home release
and then you get the 30 extra minutes, and then you're like, oh wow, I saw a movie. But yeah, I think that's it for news. I think it's time we jump into our movie of the week.
Oh man, yeah. Hey, yeah, right there. I'm in the cab, man. I'm stuck. Thank you. Hey man, look, I gotta get out of here.
What's up, man? What's going on?
Look, I'm tied up in here. This guy tied me up, but he's up in this building wreaking havoc, doing some wild shit. I need to get out of here.
Damn, you all tied up in there.
Yeah, I'm trapped, so let's get me out of here so we can call the cops.
You give me a fucking one.
Are you kidding me?
Do I look like I'm kidding you?
Listen, don't you see that my hands are tied to the steering wheel?
I don't give a fuck what they're tied to. I'll fuck you up.
Don't shoot, man.
Get your ass up. Yeah. What else you got here? Oh, jackpot. It's for real.
Yo, homie. That my briefcase?
Is it your briefcase? Yeah, it is. Why? You want it back?
What about your wallet?
What else you got for me? Huh?
Fuck!
Obviously, I said earlier, one of my favorites. I think, in my opinion, my favorite Michael Mann movie, as much as I love Heat, I think this one, to me, it always brings me down, always makes me feel like kind of dreamy. It's like a dream. And I think a lot of LA movies do that. So Heat, to an extent, kind of feels that way too. But this one more so. It's Collateral. It's the Michael Mann 2004 neo-noir movie. It stars Jamie Foxx and Tom Cruise in like probably one of his only villainous roles he's ever done. I know. And to me, I think his best. I think this is my favorite of his, honestly. I've started to think it's between this or Boogie Nights. It's definitely up there. I mean, I love this movie. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, the great thing about Tom Cruise and Jamie Foxx is that they just have such a natural rapport. I mean, with how they talk to each other. I mean, I think what's also amazing about the movie is that if you go in not really knowing anything, like you're just watching the movie the first 20 minutes, you're kind of like, okay, like
that's my favorite thing about this movie is that if you really don't know what it's about, it is a shock when you find out what it
when you just see that body, it's like, oh wow.
Because you think it's gonna be this lighthearted, like almost like just this night of the life movie involving this taxi driver.
Yeah. Right.
But then, and that's also something that I think that's really great about Collateral is it feels like 5 short films that essentially take place around 2 men's night. Because if you think about it,
Yeah.
Mark Ruffalo's character kind of feels like he's off doing his own thing. You got Jamie Foxx and Tom Cruise off doing their own thing. And then you got these like different vignettes almost going through. And then essentially the threads all collide into the finale. And I think, honestly, the thing that's really underappreciated about this movie is the script. I think the script's actually a lot stronger than people, because for an action movie, to me, it does a good job of like being really simple. Like it's essentially a 1-sentence plot, but I think it really just is like, all right, just let these 2 movie stars do their fucking thing.
Well, also just how they'll have little things. They'll have little things or like characters that do things. And at first you're just kind of like, okay, whatever. You don't really think about it. It's not really in the back of your mind. Like Jada Pinkett Smith's character, for instance, like this time around when I watched it, I remember just being like, oh, cool. Like she's like the love interest. And I was like, whatever. But then towards the end, you realize it's like, no, she's not the love interest.
That's actually a really good twist. And like, essentially,
I was very, I'm like, that's really good. That's really smart.
And making like something so minuscule early on matters so much at the end. Essentially is like, okay, like the scriptwriter did a really good job of making sure every detail in this story matters to the central plot. Like it never felt like anything was tossed away to the wayside. And then there was all these cool little interactions within the story, like the whole jazz scene between them at the table. I'm like, this is a really good scene. This is a great scene. And then for it to end like that, I'm just like, oh shit.
Yeah. To be honest, like I saw this like a year ago, and then obviously I rewatched it today in preparation, but I always forget about that jazz scene, just how it's like, just people talking about jazz, and it's like, cool. It's like, this is awesome. Like, I don't know why this guy is just talking to him, but whatever. And then
the quick turn when like, it's revealed like, oh just no, Max
mention of a name, and it's like, oh, okay, wow.
Max isn't here solely for he wants jazz. He's here because of his job. And then what he says is the best part is that he lies to Jamie Foxx.
Yeah.
Max. That's Max. Vincent is Tom Cruise. Messed names up. Jamie Foxx he essentially like is toying with Jamie Foxx the whole time because he's like, oh no, you like jazz? We're gonna go get a drink. And then he just like basically like, no, wait, I'm gonna kill this guy. This is part of the job. Haha. But
that was another thing. I don't know if you mentioned it before, but like I forgot how funny this movie was. Obviously not all the time, but there's like vignettes where it's actually hilarious. Like I love
a lot of the dialogue's really well done, and it lets Tom Cruise be that snarky kind of like sarcastic-y asshole character that he
really well. And also just Jamie Foxx when he's telling off his
Jamie Foxx is a really funny guy. Like Jamie Foxx has really good comedic timing. And like his
deserved Oscar nomination.
Mm-hmm. And I think I wish Tom Cruise got something too, because I think he was.
He should have. Honestly, he should have.
He was great. And it's funny the whole scene where Javier Bardem, who shows up, like who was not a big deal at 2004, but like you go on, you're just like, wow, this movie has Tom Cruise, Jamie Foxx, Mark Ruffalo, who's also not really, really big yet.
Not at that time, but when you think about it, not to go off, but when you think about it, Javier Bardem, the crazy thing about him was he wasn't big at all, but I think he spent like 2-3 months working on like the accent, and he literally spent 2 days on set.
Here's the thing that I was thinking. Here's what I was kind of thinking. That scene, as much as I love it, it feels like Javier Bardem tried out for a scene where he wasn't as big of a character. And they liked him so much that it felt like that scene was specifically written for him to like give a monologue. Because it felt like there's this one part in the movie, I know you remember it. It's when he's just talking, the camera's kind of slowly zooming in, and it feels like he's just like, it felt like a Shakespearean monologue. And I was like, I feel like they were like, oh shit, we landed on a really good actor in our auditions. I feel like we got to give this guy more screen time, which it also works for the overall movie because that's what the movie feels like. It feels like each scene was written as a shorter segment and they just like kind of connected them all.
Well, and also when you think about it, it's funny you mentioned Shakespearean because I feel like the movie almost in some ways is Shakespearean. I mean, you think about it, you see character Max, I mean, he starts out as just like a cab driver. He has dreams and everything, and Tom Cruise, he's just kind of constantly like pushing him to everything. And by the end of the night, I mean, he pushes him to the brink of, obviously, killing him, but also
Mhm.
just fulfilling almost like what he wants. Like he goes off in
Also,
the distance pretty much to, be able to almost have like a new life. I feel like.
also great script writing is when early on Vincent's like, I hate LA. There was a story about a man on a train that no one knew that was dead, and people were just sitting next to him and no one knew he was dead. To then that be the movie, how it ends. I was like,
Yep.
it's like sometimes it's just so easy that like it feels like it's the easiest thing in the world to write a script, but these guys just figure out how to fucking tie
Michael
little
Mann
threads.
knows how to do that, man. He knows how.
It wasn't Michael Mann who wrote the script. It was Stuart Beatty. Stuart Beatty who wrote
I forget what else he wrote off the top of my head.
Pirates, or he was the story writer for Pirates of the Caribbean. He wrote 30 Days of Night. He actually didn't. This was like his biggest one.
Yeah, I know he came up with the idea, I think, at like age 12. Like he was in a cab driver. He was like, imagine if like there was like a killer like in the back. And I'm just like, wow, that's kind of interesting. Like
That's the best
he probably
thing
spent like
too,
20
is-
years, like, finally being able to fulfill his vision, which I thought
That's
was
the
cool.
other thing I'll say is Tom Cruise is so scary that this is probably one of the best serial killer movies ever made. Like it's I was watching it and I was like, he is terrifying when he can like go from the part where he comes out of the second kill and he's just like, yo homie, and he's just like
Yeah, I love that scene.
it's cheesy, it's very cheesy, but it's very funny. Like it works because it's him. It's kind of feels like it's that movie where every single aspect kind of fell into place, where it feels like it's almost like this wouldn't happen again, where you have Tom Cruise, Jamie Foxx, a great script, Michael Mann. It's like the perfect time it came out. And also like Taxis being a big deal in 2004. Like this movie feels kind of aged enough, but it still feels like it could be set now. Like it's very timeless, but also weirdly not timeless. And I think that's why I like it so much. And the funniest thing is that, so I'm on the Wikipedia, just kind of, so I have all the stuff. And the poster is just that shot of Tom Cruise with his gun on his lap. And I remember when I was younger, my dad, there was this like weird DVD delivery service where you could like get a thing in the mail and you could check off movies and they would like send them to you and like new DVDs. And my grandpa got me into it. So we would do it every once in a while. And Collateral was one of the ones my dad chose because he thought it sounded cool. So I always had the DVD that I lent to you freshman year of college.
Yeah.
But I never watched it. So until like probably senior year of high school or whenever I saw it first. I don't really remember, but it was just like, I was like, oh my God, like this movie is awesome.
I remember you told me about it. It was shortly after I went on a binge of like Heat and like The Insider, Last Mohicans. And I'll never forget. Yeah, you gave me the DVD. I watched it, and then I liked it. But then for some reason, I waited 6 years, and beginning of the pandemic, I was like, "Oh, Blu-ray.com. It's like $6. All right, I'll pick it up." And then a couple months later, it got announced it was going to be out in 4K, and I was like, "Wow, that was just bad timing. I should have just waited."
It's also really funny too. Sorry to interrupt, but the Blu-ray also looks really good. Like I will say, like it looks really good, but the 4K, like. It was
definitely blows that out of the water. I mean, I wanted to also mention, I'm sure you were probably gonna mention too, but I just wanted to also mention like Michael Mann, it's just kind of crazy how he's like, you know what, I'm gonna shoot on film, but I'm also gonna shoot on HD cameras.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it blends really well, honestly, with this movie. I noticed it early on. I was like, oh, that's interesting. Because usually it's like I don't pick up on that. I know you have more of an eye for that, but I picked up on it and I was like, that's interesting because I know he also did that with Public Enemies, which I know you're not the biggest fan of that, but I think
the cinematography looked really cool. I the look of that movie wasn't my issue with it. It was the sound thing. And I want to give that a watch because I want to see if that was some weird file issue that I had where I watched it on Netflix and it just was a bad file. Because I
also know that it was also like he intended for it to sound like a 1930s movie. So I think that was also it.
Maybe if I go in with that in mind, maybe I'll enjoy it more because I feel like I went in thinking it was going to be like an authentic classic movie, and it was very a little more experimental than I thought it was going to be. Which he likes
style,
to do. Yeah, which he likes
Collateral,
to do.
Yeah, I mean, like it's great to see. Honestly, I mean, that's one of the things about Michael Mann. He's always been great at just being able to film like nighttime locations. I mean, as you and I both know, filming at nighttime is no picnic. But Michael Mann makes it look like a walk in the
There
park.
and his nighttime look also. There's something about it that makes it look dirty but pretty. It's a very hard balance. And the scene I think of, which is I'll go into, is also my favorite scene of the movie. It's not the shootout scene, which was almost my favorite, because to me, Collateral is even more so than John Wick, still my favorite nightclub shootout sequence in a movie. I just think it all blends together so well. But my favorite scene is the scene when they see the coyote in the.
That's a great scene.
And I think that was literally only there because I think they saw the coyote while filming, and they were filming like authentic reactions of this coyote. And to me, that's just them showing off, like, this is how good digital film can look. Like, that's
not just that. I mean, also how you can attest, because we both make movies. It's just sometimes you'll get on location, and sometimes you'll just see something, and you're like, I want that in the movie. It's like that could really work with like the characters or like the storytelling.
Well, that's also sometimes people forget the thing about movies is sometimes we just we see cool shit and we're like, people will also think this is cool. Like, so, and that's like, I'm sure I can read it both as like, it's a little deeper, and it's very just like, it says a lot about the beauty of the nighttime of LA and just the way these characters are like, there's a lot going on. And then also I'm just like, it's also just cool because it's a fucking coyote. Like it's,
and I do think that you also are probably spot on though. Like if I'm being realistic, because I mean, I know Michael Mann's a big advocate of shooting digitally. Obviously, he shot Black Hat, and then Public Enemy. I'm trying to think of his other movies that came out recently, but he's definitely more of like a pioneer for that. So that shot definitely is like, digital filmmaking can definitely work. So I definitely agree with you there.
Yeah, the other thing I'll say is about the way that the story unfolds. When you see the movie and you see Mark Ruffalo, the movie kind of makes you think it's going down a path of like Mark Ruffalo is going to be one to save the day, because it just feels like it's setting up his character. And the way that the movie throws that out and has him die, and you're just like, I don't think Max is going to make it out at the end, is really good bait and switch. And also I think works because Mark Ruffalo is really funny and good in the movie. His look makes me laugh so hard.
I love that look.
He's got the earring.
Well, it also helps too, because if you think about it, like if Mark Ruffalo were to do a movie now,
he wouldn't wear that. Well, he wouldn't die. He wouldn't be wearing that. He would look like Bruce Banner. Like he wouldn't look like that, which is why I think this movie again fits into that perfect, like, it came out at the perfect time, had the perfect people in it, the perfect people behind the camera, like everything just worked. It just
I do also think that was one of Michael Mann's last like financially successful movies. I mean, especially like from that perspective. I think Public Enemies did solid, but I think Collateral was a huge success. I mean, because
it was a huge success both critically and financially, and I think it got Jamie Foxx a supporting actor, and then it got an editing Oscar, which the editing too is.
I wanted to also mention that because editing a film, it's no picnic, but the fact that they were able to edit it and make it so that the pacing just melds so well with the action, it just constantly builds.
Let me tell you, Chad, and you know this, and we're gonna get into it because I'm trying to think of anything else we can talk about with Collateral, but once we get into talking about your movie, editing a movie can really make or break your movie.
Yeah, true.
Here's the thing. That movie in last week's episode that Louie and I watched, The Collector, the first 15 minutes of that movie are so horribly edited, so horribly written, but the editing is so egregiously bad that I was like, how did this movie get a second one? Like, how is this? There's got to be. And then when you figure out that like the movie all of a sudden switches to like, oh, this is a real movie in here. It's just that first 15 feels tacked on.
Right.
That's how much editing can change. Same with Batman v Superman earlier. They cut out 30 minutes of that movie, and it made the movie not flow together. Like the editing has to it doesn't have to be, but I think it kind of has to be thought of before you make the movie. Like I think there has to be a little bit of like, where there's going to be some edits. I think you have
to have an idea. I mean, that's the other thing too. I mean, if you have it where your movie's like jumpy at all, or like it can take audiences out of the movie. I mean, truth be told, as well as just, I feel like when studios get involved, that's when it's especially just kind of like, it's just terrible. I mean, as we've seen with Zack Snyder, but I agree with you. And I mean, that's the other thing. A movie that's original, like Collateral, where the editor was just able to splice it together. Just awesome, man. They had free reign. It was great, honestly.
Fun fact that I was reading. I was listening to you, but I was reading the Wikipedia little blurb right here about the movie, and apparently Russell Crowe and Adam Sandler were in talks to play Vincent and Max, and I'm making me think. I'm like, that also would have been a pretty cool movie. Like that would have been.
Work. We've seen how well Adam Sandler acts,
and Russell Crowe can be really intimidating if he.
Dude, Unhinged. Unhinged wasn't a good movie, but it was entertaining, and to see him just like get upset at the fact that someone like wouldn't move driving.
But I could see Adam Sandler and Max being switched out. I personally feel like Tom Cruise is Vincent. Like it's I don't think it would work without Tom Cruise. I think his performance in this is both his best to me, and I think as great as everything else is, it's probably the best part of the movie. Like just seeing him in such a.
And going back to what you're saying, I mean, it's just also great for, if listeners haven't watched the movie, unfortunately yet, it's also just great to see Tom Cruise in a role that's like different. I mean,
I think everyone who listens to this episode should, if they haven't seen Collateral,
100%
shouldn't be this far into the listen, even though we're a spoiler podcast, but also go watch Collateral, because it's to me, it's one of the best action movies, one of my favorite action movies I've seen.
Third favorite Michael Mann film, I believe.
Yeah. I still need to see The Insider. I know that's your favorite, right?
Yeah, dude, I love The Insider. Highly underrated.
I said my favorite scene, which is the coyote scene. I like to ask what your favorite scene of the movie is, or favorite part. It can be anything. And I think with Collateral, we can wrap up.
Yeah, totally. I think I would say the nightclub scene, but this watch honestly kind of made me realize the buildup from the office to the train. I mean, the subway. I love that whole buildup, because honestly, like, although I saw it a year ago, I forgot what happened. So it was just kind of like that unpredictability that I really like, as well as just the fact that, I mean, the characters were just so smart in those scenarios. I really thought it worked really well.
No, that's also the biggest thing
really
that this movie has going for it, is characters don't, like, in the decisions that they make, they always feel authentic, and they always don't feel stupid. Like, they always feel like the decision you could say, like, I would make that decision. Like, I feel like when Max is definitely out of his wheelhouse with taking on, first with his whole Javier Bardem, like, pretending he's Vincent, where all of a sudden he's like tells him like he's gonna like shove a cap up his ass, and then and then there's a scene with him taking on Vincent. It feels really. And the other thing I'll say is Tom Cruise is such a big movie star that in 2004, when Jamie Foxx just outright shoots him in the ear, you're mind blown, because you're to the mean. It's a movie I think is really unpredictable. Like, I don't think you think you don't know who's going to die. You're like, I think Max could die. Like, I think, and it has a really good sense of stake. And it also has a really good way of building tension, which Michael Mann knows how to build tension.
He does. He's amazing at that.
And also it's a flat 120 too. That's the thing, is it's 2 hours and it's flat 120. It feels good. Like, it flows real well.
It does. It gets better with each film too, which I always like those type of movies.
I agree, but that's Collateral. Do you have anything else you want to mention about it, or you think you're good to go?
No, I think I'm good to go. I just think it's underrated. So that's
underrated.
Why I'm glad you're doing the podcast on this, because I think that it needs more attention, to be honest.
No, that's what I want to. I mean, I like to do, as you've seen, I like to do big movies. I like to do obscure movies. I like to do movies like this where I think they're underappreciated, and then I like to do movies that are so bad they're good, which is actually next week we're doing. Louis and I are going to do a movie that's one of our favorites. I'll tell you after, but I like to keep it a little secret.
Yeah, no, I get it. Trust me, I get it about that secrets.
So I hope the best outcome for this is that more people see Collateral. It's on. I think it's on. Is it on Netflix, or is it on HBO Max, or is it on
like Paramount Plus, right?
Is it?
I don't know. It might be. I know it's because it's a Paramount movie, I'm pretty sure.
But rights are weird. They
are. That's a good point. It might be on Netflix now.
I think I saw it on Netflix a little bit ago. I think I saw it was on there.
Yeah.
It's on Amazon Prime.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
And on IMDb TV. Yeah, Collateral. Recommend it highly. One of my favorites. And I think with that, originally I was going to do pitches. So right. I have a pitch set up, but I think with the last little bit, it's better for me to just do Willopenn Drive discussion.
Perfect. Now, with Willopenn Drive, I did want to say, we'll keep it
yeah. I won't. It'll just be more so. I want to know about. I I just want you to talk a little bit about like what made you come up with the idea, how you you know, how filming went. I'd want you to tell the story about the fucking hard drive because I think that's that's a really really
Yeah.
important people to hear. And then yeah, just so I'm not honestly not even really gonna talk about plot because I think it's more so you should just watch it. Am
Yeah,
I?
you know I am, man. I'm like
Yeah.
Nolan when it comes to the movie. Yeah, I mean, dude, all good questions. I think the first one I'll say is that filming went.
First, before we should say Willopenn Drive, you can obviously Chad's got a YouTube channel. We're gonna plug it at the end, but you're releasing it on the YouTube channel.
Yep, 10
Um,
p.m. Eastern time on the 17th.
so that's next Saturday.
Next Saturday. Yep.
Okay.
101 minutes long. I did
Mhm.
cut down a couple minutes, as you know, you and I have discussed before.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, so the most frustrating thing about the film in terms of filmmaking was that I pretty much was done filming, released the trailer, and then 2 days later is when the hard drive gave out, and I tried to recover it. But pretty much all the companies I went through, they all said that it wasn't recoverable. So thankfully, because I had a multi-camera setup, I was able to get the footage from like the other cameras that like we had. Um, which again, I look back and Incisor, which was my, obviously debut film, I look back and that was obviously, as you know, Eric, like a one camera setup, a single
Yeah,
camera.
I actually I worked
Helped out, yeah.
I worked
with
on
that.
Incisor. I wasn't able to do this one because it was involved. It was during moving and COVID, and there
Yep.
was all,
Yeah.
but yeah,
But
I've you said you wanted two camera setup, and I was like, that's honestly, we talked about that. I don't usually,
yeah, we talk about it all the time. Yeah.
yeah, depends on what I'm feeling, but for this,
Right. If
paid
if I
off.
had done a single camera setup though, I probably would have only had 10% of the footage. And truth be told, I don't know what I would have done. So I was able to recover 60% because of the multi-camera setup, and I was able to shoot 40%. And honestly, it helped out because the movie before the trailer released, I had it at like 2.5 hours.
Which
And then
I don't know if it would have worked 2.5 hours,
it
Chad.
definitely would have. I mean, I knew I still had to edit. So I remember I cut it down to like 2 hours and 3 minutes, but honestly the drive kind of helps me out with editing even more so, like, additional 25-30 minutes. But it was just crazy, man. Honestly, filming went well for the most part. Like I had a plan. In Sizer I didn't as much, but this I had more of a plan, and I knew what I wanted. Like most of the people on set didn't, and obviously I was very secretive with everything, but I knew what I wanted, and honestly I'm very happy with the final product. I was inspired by several movies, but the first one I wanted to have a movie that I would want to watch. Like, in Sizer, I made it specifically because I was like, I want to try like my stab at like genres that I find to be very difficult and subjective. Like in Sizer, I made a comedy because I find it like I watch movies and I'm like, oh, comedies usually are ones that I feel kind of mixed about. So I wanted to try to, have a stab at it. But then for Willopenn Drive, I wanted to make a movie that I wanted to see. I wanted to make like a movie that was very like artsy. And at the same time, you see one thing and you're just kind of like, I don't know what's going on. And then things kind of get recontextualized as the film progresses. That's what I wanted. Also, I just wanted a movie that kind of makes you think and just is morally just kind of like, muddled. I mean, that was just kind of what I wanted because when I watch movies and shows, I like that. So I mean, it was, but to be honest, like I said, I'm very, very proud of the movie. I don't know how audiences are going to take to it just because, it is dealing with some interesting topics, as you know, Eric. So it's just one of those things where I know I'm happy about it. And at the same time, because I made the movie for me, it's what matters.
That's honestly, and what I'll say is, I did see the movie, and Chad and I had a discussion, and I appreciated it a lot, and I'm obviously very proud that you were able to finish a movie in obviously like the hardest year ever to film, and also two, somehow salvage it after after everything that happened. I gave him a lot of critiques just because this is our relationship. We love to be honest. We want to make each other better and as filmmakers and as film viewers. But the thing I will say is that the most important critic that you need to impress is you. And the fact that you do enjoy it and the fact that you're proud, I will say is, I mean, that's honestly like, you want to just make it for people. You want to make a movie for people for you, and also people that you're that are like you, who are going to end up enjoying it. So it's, and it's art. So it's subjective, and that's
to be honest, I knew making this movie, I knew that this was something that I was going to market, obviously, so that way a lot of people could watch it, obviously, because it's marketed as a suspenseful movie. And, I guess you could almost argue it is, but I marketed it that way also, so that way I could get viewers. But it's almost like it comes at night. Obviously, this movie's not like it comes at night in that regards, but I just feel like once people watch, they're going to be like,
I think you purposefully mismarketed it, though, and you didn't even really mismarket it that much. You just
I just showed the first act, and the second act changes a lot.
And you have to cut, and you have to cut a trailer. You have to cut it so that it entices people, and it's hard to showcase exactly how yours goes, because your movie's almost dependent on the fact that you have to see it once, because you kind of have to know how it goes, and then you go back and
you have to almost watch it twice, because, and that's the thing, man, you were one of 5 people, obviously, that I was like, look, obviously the movie's made for me.
The only reason I invited you on was so I can get an early screener. That was just how that was. This episode isn't even going to air.
Well, one thing I've noticed is that, unfortunately, Ryan Arcavich, shout out to Ryan, hasn't seen it just yet, but you and the other 3 people that have seen it, you guys have all had different takes. And I think that that's the great thing. As you said, film is art. And I think that's what's the great thing about it, especially with picking up certain details. Obviously, as a filmmaker, you and I have discussed this before, you put so much details into a scene, but odds are the average person is not going to.
Yeah, no, there's a lot. It's the one thing I'll say about this is I don't think it's as accessible as Incisor, only because I think you go a little bit more. You do a lot more. There's symbolism. There's a lot more nuance that you're adding in with
10-minute scene of no dialogue.
There's things. You're being a little bit more experimental with this as opposed to Incisor, which is a lot more streamlined as a movie. So
I wanted to. That was my endeavor.
I mean, I don't think this one. I think this one works as your second. It doesn't work as your first. So I think.
I
think Incisor had to come out first before this came out. So I
agree.
Yeah. Let me think. Just anything else you want to say about it? I mean, if you're any details you want to drop. Anything that you want to tell? I know we're trying to keep, this is weird because it's spoiler alert, but we're trying to keep it.
Yeah, I know.
So it's hard to talk about 100%, but I mean, how you feeling? Do you feel good? You feel ready for it to come out? Are you?
I feel confident, but to be honest, and I know you and Nick obviously agree with this, and it's funny because, as you know, I've been a YouTube critic for a long time now. And it's just one of those things where you and Nick always talk about, and obviously listen to podcasts makes me think more and more of it. But it's I'll watch a movie and it's obviously I'll critique it more than you guys, because obviously on Letterboxd, you guys don't do star ratings, which before I didn't really understand. But now, as time goes on, I get it, because it's when you watch a movie, it's if you give a movie, let's say a 2 out of 5 star rating, it's that's something that was someone's vision. That was 100 minutes that they had to cut and spend months, if not years on.
Except for Suicide Squad.
Yeah, I mean, dude, that's something that's kind of made me think, because it's that's what I'm kind of nervous about, because I'm just well, the tables have turned. The critic is now the person that's making a movie, and now he's the one that's going to be having.
I mean, here's the thing that I'll say about that too. First, I mean, it takes a lot of balls to be able to put something out there that you made. I mean, and regardless of how people take it, it's scary, because I can tell just from you talking, you're very, very happy that you made this. And you have a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. Apparently a literal fucking knee injury that I didn't know happened. But
yeah, man, X-ray. I got an X-ray.
You have, so that's obviously really commendable. But the other thing that you have going too is, I think I was babbling on. We were talking about, what were we talking about? That we were talking about how movies are
just rating them and everything.
The other thing is that, honestly, I forget. So we can move on. And we were talking about, I said there were 2 things that you need to be commended, that putting movie out there, really. The other thing I'll say is, obviously, not everyone's going to like everything you do, but the thing that matters is that someone's just going to pull out the thing that matters is that you just feel proud with it. And I think for me, I see growth. I see that there's a lot of things you're trying, and there's some things that when I saw it, I didn't think 100% worked. But I mean, that's the whole thing about the making a movie, is that you're learning because you want to be able to keep getting better. So things that maybe don't work now work better in the next one. And the things that work now work better, even better. So it's like, I see things happening that are like interesting to me. And I do think this goes down a really weird path. Like I was actually we conceived a little bit early on before I kind of knew that I wasn't able to work on it. We were kind of had a little bit of a plot idea, and it does sort of follow it early, but then it completely deviates away from where I thought it was going. So it was an interesting journey for me, and that's all.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like you had a reaction to the movie, so like even though obviously you more respect because like you said, it's hard to get a movie out there, but you had a reaction to it, and that's what I want. I want people to react to it, whether that reaction is good or bad. At least they have a reaction. I think that's important in movies because, as you and I both know, it's like movies, they make us happy, but they can also make us angry, sad. Like that's what's great about them. It's like a friend, friends can give you all of these different kind of emotions, and movies for me and like you were kind of like friends almost, and that's what I like about. I feel like this movie, like
that was what I was gonna say. I remember the other thing I was gonna say was, as a critic, it gives you another tool as a critic because now you will understand exactly what goes in. To where I think your critiques will be more earned, which not to say they weren't before, but you will almost have even more of like I literally know because obviously I'm working more on a couple bigger productions than all film productions are, dude, is they just kind of feel like student films and like films like the film you made.
You and Nick were talking about
it's just bigger. It's just bigger scale. And there's just it's a little bit more chaotic and there's just more people moving the meter. But it's essentially the same thing, and it'll just help you out with that. But I'm excited. I will watch it again honestly, I don't know if the link still works for me. I can probably watch it again this week, right?
Yeah, I mean the link I sent you, I did edit like
I'll probably catch it once it releases with the new cut. But
I did cut a couple. I changed a little bit of the music for like one scene, and then I did cut out like a couple things early on. But
I'm excited but I'm very excited for you. I'm excited to see it again. And I'm really glad that you were here to talk about movies because it's nice to have, I think this episode was, even with Nick, this episode was more like we really honed in on film. We really talked. So this feels like a different speed. It's interesting getting other guests on your pod because all my tones are off now.
I'm always down to come on. Like I'm always more than happy to. I said, I respect the fact that you're doing a podcast. It's not easy. I mean, it's like any art form.
To answer your question that I know you're thinking, you passed. You can be invited back.
Oh, awesome.
But what I want to do is, before we go, I want to plug your YouTube channel, and I want to, obviously you're going to beef up. I want you to do a little bit of Willopenn Drive selling. I'll plug my channels, and then we'll call an episode.
My YouTube channel is my first and last name, Chad Sabourin, Sabourin.
Yep. Chad does a lot of movie reviews. He does a lot of lists. He puts a lot of top 10s together. A lot of his ranked reviews are really, really entertaining. I actually watch them. I watch them a lot of the time. They're actually my go-tos usually for you, is I'll go to your rankings because I'm interested in rankings personally. So I think it's always like, it's something that I always like to see. Like, I love seeing how different people rank different directors' filmographies. But great
What's
stuff.
Great about film, man. It's so subjective, and you always see constantly changing.
And then obviously Willopenn Drive will be on there, as well as Incisor. Your first movie's on there. Yep.
It will be under, I have a playlist like movies I made. But yeah, Willopenn Drive, I have it as premiere mode for 10 p.m. Eastern time on the 17th of April. So definitely stay tuned for that.
So for us, you can follow us at We Spoil Movies on Instagram and Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter at Beef de Bois. I tweet a lot. Chad doesn't actually have a Twitter because he's
a boomer.
But no, it's all good. Anywhere people can find you, Facebook, anything, following.
Letterboxd.
Letterboxd. Yeah.
Letterboxd, dude. Letterboxd is awesome. You can follow me there. Chad.Sabourin, yeah.
Chad.Sabourin, and then his YouTube channel. Make sure you follow him. I will be back next week with Louis again for another review of a So Bad It's Good movie, and it'll be a lot of fun. And then that's about it. I think this was a really, really good episode. I'm feeling good. I'm glad you were here, Chad, and we will see you next week, or at least I will.
Man, I'll stay tuned next week. I'm excited to hear your guys' thoughts.
Alrighty, bye everyone.